Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the upper tier. It's Thursday Tier Talk. I'm here running a solo. My partner, as always, Dazzler, is away enjoying a few drinks and attending a Westlife concert, hence the thumbnail. Um, don't know where to start with this Carabao Cup reaction. Liverpool out of the Carabao Cup. A cup that last year seemed important enough to be part of a run on a quadruple attempt, and important enough to parade around Liverpool in front of 600,000 people. Um, doesn't seem to be as important this year for one reason or another. Um, very strange. I thought the lineup was not great at all. A lot left to be desired. And I think, to be honest, I think we went out there with the approach that it kind of didn't really matter. I thought Nunes was shocking. I thought Salah was not great either, mainly out of the game. Fabinho came on, started playing like the man who was frustrated. Thiago, a lot of players there. Joe Gomez had a disaster. Um, Matip struggled to control his back line. But just although we got those goals and at times we were in the game and stuff like that, we never looked at it. Um, Ted in the comments, someone needs to buy Nunes a new pair of boots. Someone needs to give Nunes, Ted, a kick up the fucking backside. It was absolutely shocking with the amount of attempts he dragged wide. It was ridiculous tonight. And look, that was his form. He was shocking in the World Cup as well. And we know that he needs a number of chances in order to score. So why should we be surprised? But we also looked, I don't know, as a team that's been off for a month, and has been working obviously on fitness and away doing warm weather stuff and the Dubai Cup and all that kind of stuff. He didn't look fit at all. At times we looked out of the game. Even Milner, as fit as he is at times, looked like he was struggling and looked really rusty. I know he came off with an injury. I could see it on the far side. He picked it up when he hobbled and stopped, and I knew it was only a matter of time before he came off. But serious questions have to be asked. You've got Virgil van Dijk sitting at home resting, um, 14 days on from the Netherlands getting dumped out of the World Cup. Um, Maybe Jurgen felt he needed the rest because maybe he walked home from Qatar or something. Did he on a sponsored walk or a? I don't know because I don't understand this. We have a chance to lay down a marker tonight, go to the Etihad, maybe put on a good show, get through to the quarterfinals of the cup, have a great chance of retaining the cup this year. And we didn't seem to care enough or anything like it. We were way off it. Um, City could have had a number of chances. De Bruyne on another day could have had a hat trick. He was pulling the strings in midfield. And then I don't get the idea. The kid Beatic came in. He was playing. He looks like a tidy good player and stuff like that. But is that the kind of game you want to be trusting him into? First game back after the World Cup. Most people refreshed and ready to go. And we looked at times very dull and lackluster and out of ideas. And I just thought it was very strange. So not a good result, not a good day at the office. Um, no sense of giving player ratings. Because we've got plenty to get through tonight because it's clashing with our Thursday night show. So we are going to be bringing you a preview of the Premier League coming up for St. Stephen's Day, not Boxing Day, but St. Stephen's Day. We're also going to be doing a Beat the Bookie, where I've picked out some picks and tips to hopefully try and win back some of that Christmas spend. And we said at the end we'd have maybe a quick chat with people in the chat or in the comments about Christmas movies or movies not necessarily that are Christmas ones, but sort of your go-to movies for when you're off at Christmas time, the ones that you tend to go to and watch. Ted, back in the comments again. I thought Kelleher did well enough, even with conceding 3 goals. Yeah, absolutely. The third one, I think it was. Was it the third one? Can't even remember now. Yeah, the third one, which would have been Ake. The two guys at the back post, no one marking them. Free at the back post, no one marking them. Shocking all the way. Not good. And now we've got to take that team maybe with a little bit of sprinkling of more players for Monday, and try and go to Aston Villa and win a game against Unai Emery. That should be fun. If we think tonight was fun, let's see how that goes. Anyway, let's get into this Premier League preview. So coming up, we have Arsenal versus West Ham. I like the look of this game. This should be a feisty London affair. Interesting to see how Arsenal do coming back without Jesus, and what way they're going to line up. I'm sure most of their players will be chomping at the bit to get going again with the Premier League resuming. Really enjoyed the World Cup, but glad to have club football back, even being on the lose side. Acers in the comments. Liverpool side was absolutely abysmal and shocking. Season officially finished tonight. I wouldn't say the season's finished yet, but it's getting borderline now, isn't it? I wouldn't necessarily fancy them against Wolves in the FA Cup. I certainly wouldn't fancy them over two legs against Real Madrid. And I certainly wouldn't fancy our chances of getting back into the top four if this is the way we're going to perform. Very, very at times lackluster tonight. Absolutely. So Arsenal versus West Ham. Be interesting to see West Ham as well coming back. Let's see what kind of work David Moyes has done with them as well. But certainly this will be an interesting game for Arsenal. I expect Arsenal to win this one. But again, we're not too sure on the effect of losing Jesus and what that will do on the team and how Arteta's going to line them up. So it should be interesting. Aston Villa versus Liverpool, the one we just spoke about there, huge game for Liverpool. Liverpool really at this stage to get back into a top four race need to go on a 4, 5, 6 game run where they put points on the board and win. And I think this is going to be a very tough trip to Villa Park, as has been in the past. And I think going there with Unai Emery having the time that he's had with the Villa team now, I think it's going to be a very difficult game. Wouldn't surprise me at all if it was a draw. And not the result that Liverpool want. Live on the box, I think, at 5:30. We will be doing a preview of it over the weekend and dropping it before the game. So keep an eye out for that on the Shankly sessions. By always, subscribing to the channel, like the video, and hit the bell notification. Brentford versus Spurs. Brentford in a little bit of turmoil at the moment with all this stuff going on with Ivan Toney. Sided again, I see there today now. It's up to 264 or 262 bets or something like that, or charges or something like that. So it sounds like it's guilty as charged, but I don't know what way they're going to do it. But yeah, Brentford versus Spurs. I'd imagine Spurs will come back full of life. Harry Kane will want to prove a point. Obviously, after missing that penalty, he won't get back to fire and form. And I've mentioned him in our Beat the Bookie just as a preview coming up shortly. But I would expect Spurs to win that one. Chelsea versus Bournemouth. Potter back at it again, linked with a number of players. Obviously, the deal with Nkunku was done. Just the players coming in the summer, recovering at the moment from an injury. But I would expect Chelsea to have enough to beat Bournemouth. And I would expect Chelsea to win that one. Palace versus Fulham, which is a really interesting tie. Vieira versus Marco Silva. Marco Silva doing a great job at the moment at Fulham. Likewise, Vieira at times doing some really good work there at Crystal Palace as well, having them playing really, really well. But this could be a really, really good match coming up for your St. Stephen's Day. London Derby, Vieira versus Marco Silva, and both teams in reasonable vein of form. Should be a real good one. Hard to split them. Kind of leaning towards Fulham. I think Mitrovic coming back as well. He'll want to prove a point as well. Ian in the comments. Chelsea win. Koi Bryce. Chuggy to have a great performance. Yeah, absolutely. Everton versus Wolves. Frank, this is an interesting one. Wolves should have a few players back and stuff like that at this stage. Ruben Neves, I'm sure, will be back and stuff like that. I think he played the other night, actually, didn't he? Did he play last night as far as I know, the Carabao Cup? So they should have most of their players back, if not all of them. Up against Everton, travelling to Everton, who are struggling at the moment under Frank. So this is a big game for them. Probably see this ending up a draw as well. And then we go Leeds versus Man City. Man City heading up to Ellen Road on St. Stephen's Day. Again, an interesting one. I don't think that's St. Stephen's Day, actually. I think that's the next day that one is on. Leeds versus Man City. Interesting one. Seen a video there the other day, Jesse Marsh. I thought it was really, really cool. There was a number of kids doing a tour of Ellen Road, and they went into the changing room. And the next thing, Jesse Marsh marched in, took out the board, and started talking tactics with the kids and stuff like that. I'm sure any of those young Leeds fans would have been chuffed to see him there. But I thought it was really, really cool. Just showed a different dynamic to Jesse Marsh, so it was kind of cool. Um, this one, interesting. Tough place to go. Leeds, they'll have their players back as well. Some of those US players, Tyler Adams will be back. I'm sure Aronson will be back, and they'll be doing. They've come back after a reasonable performance in the World Cup and stuff like that, so they'll be raring to go. But I expect Man City to win this, probably by the odd goal, maybe 3-2 or 2-1 or something. So Man City run out winners there. Leicester versus Newcastle. Eddie versus Brendan Rodgers. Brendan showing a bit of form prior to the breakup, but it'll be interesting to see if he can continue that on. Obviously, James Maddison will be chomping at the bit to get back in there again. Didn't get a whole lot going on in the World Cup, and I'm sure he'll feel he's kind of wasted his time going out there somewhat. So he'll be dying to get back to competitive football on the pitch. Should have a good game. Likewise, Newcastle with Callum Wilson. He'll be chomping at the bit as well to get in there and put a few goals on the board for Newcastle. See Newcastle just edging this by the odd goal. Not sure, probably 2-1. Newcastle to continue their form at the moment, doing really, really well. Man United versus Nottingham Forest, only one winner in this. Man United flying high at the moment under Eric Ten Hag. Some of the players performing really, really well. Defense, you would have thought last night could be a little bit shaky and stuff like that, but Casemiro being that world-class player he is, you can slot him into any position and he's going to be outstanding. Really has made a huge difference to that United side in terms of confidence and the way he's brought the players up, similar to what we talk about at Arsenal with Jesus. But I think there's a confidence there in Man United, and you can see there's a bit of a swagger in their play at the moment. The goal from Rashford last night was a great goal. And I thought Burnley would have put up more of a fight. But I thought Man United were full value for the win and stuff like that. Bruno Fernandes back in there pulling the strings in midfield and stuff like that as well. So I thought they're really, really good at the minute. And I would expect them to run out winners against Nottingham Forest. And then we finish up Southampton versus Brighton. They will have had a bit of time, the new Southampton manager, to assess the side and work on it and stuff like that and all. So I think we could see a very different Southampton side in this one than we seen prior to the breakup, where they were somewhat struggling. And I probably see this going 1-1. Brighton at times have done all right. They started out really well under the new manager as well, but they've flattered to deceive at sometimes as well prior to the break. And I think this is a big game for both teams. But I could see it finishing 1-1. So that's our breakdown for the Premier League. You can see how the Premier League table looks the exact same as a month ago when we broke up and went on that journey to Qatar on the World Cup. But a number of teams need to put some points on the board here. This top four races quickly getting away from some teams, and the gap needs to be closed. Certainly Liverpool have a lot of work to do there. Big game against Aston Villa. Chelsea will want to move up there into those 20s as well and get it going. Of course, Brighton as well, who had been flying high over under Potter. Couple of good results under the new manager, but a couple of poor results as well had dropped off a bit as well, but they'll want to continue their form. Marco Silva doing a fantastic job there in ninth with Fulham, with a big opportunity potentially to move up as well. So we'll see how that will go. And then Brentford are underneath Fulham. Not sure how Brentford are going to go. Not sure the ruling on Ivan Toney. I think he has to respond by the 4th of January to those betting allegations. And then it depends what way they view it. But it's hard to be answering the call on 262 allegations. Would be very interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, we'll want to... a lot of teams there want to springboard up that table on St. Stephen's Day, lay down a marker, first game back in the league and put some points on the board. Certainly Liverpool will need a huge improvement from tonight, both in application and in attitude, I would imagine. Let's get into Beat the Bookie. So for Beat the Bookie, I've picked out 4 bets for St. Stephen's Day. And what it is we did an away ACCA, so a couple of aways coming in. It's 165 to 1. So if you take Spurs Fulham, Brighton, Newcastle, and Liverpool, all to win away, 165 to 1. Very, very good odds there. Not inconceivable. Um, some tidy toys in there and stuff like that. So very interesting. Ted in the comments, he's going to give us his one. Have Wolves, Newcastle, and Fulham at 22 to 1. Wolves, Newcastle, and Fulham. Wolves are playing Everton. Yeah, not a bad shout. Yeah, Wolves against Everton. Again, going to Goodison and stuff like that. Normally a tough place to go to, so might be a draw, but not a bad bet at all. Ted, decent bet there. And then I did a London treble, so I did Spurs, Fulham, and Arsenal, 11 to 1. Again, some of these are crossover because a lot of the toys take place on St. Stephen's Day. We've got what an action-packed day St. Stephen's Day is, and plenty of matches on. Went with a handicap double as well. Chelsea -1. Chelsea to beat Bournemouth in the -1 handicap. And Man United -1 as well against Forest. That gives you 4 to 1 on that one. Tidy little bet. Tenner on it will return 50. Not inconceivable. You would expect both teams at the moment to hit the ground against the opposition they're up against. So Chelsea against Bournemouth, United against Forest should put scores on the board there. So both of them -1 on the handicap, 4 to 1. And then, of course, the other bet, the anytime goal scorer. So I went with Kane to come back to goal scoring form after the heartbreak of that penalty at the World Cup. Salah to get on the board against Aston Villa. Mitrovic for Fulham. He'll be dying to put in a few goals and continue where he left off before the World Cup. And Callum Wilson, who didn't get a whole lot of time in Qatar, I'm sure he'll be dying to get back to Newcastle and put a few goals on the board. So Kane, Salah, Mitrovic, and Wilson, anytime goal scorers, 24 to 1. Again, tidy little bet. Not huge odds normally for a four bank anytime goal scorer. But again, you can tell the fixtures are kind of leaning themselves towards that kind of odds. But there's our 4 bets that we've picked for Beat the Bookie. So keep an eye on them if you want to follow them. St. Stephen's Day, always a big day to follow the football, horse racing, darts, everything is on that day. So pretty cool day for sport in general. Let's talk first of all this backlash over Salt Bay. This guy who went on the World Cup pitch, I don't even know how it happened. I don't even know how he got away with it. And he literally proceeded to follow nearly every Argentina player around the pitch who had the trophy and get pictures with them. And to the point where he was taking the trophy out of their hands nearly. And I don't know if you've seen some of the clips going around on TikTok and on YouTube. Lisandro Martinez nearly wanted to box the head off him. And a number of other players as well. And I don't know if you've seen the kind of thing where Messi seen him and he was walking off and he grabbed Messi by the arm to pull him back. Didn't look very good either, you know. And we're hearing today now that it's an interesting one. He's been banned from attending these sporting fixtures and stuff like that going forward, apparently. But I also seen a clip today where Gianni was with him having steak with him as well, and there was videos of that coming out as well. So it's kind of weird that he would be off having steak with the president of FIFA, and then the next minute he's getting banned from these sporting things. But it was a very weird situation. You should never put your hands on that trophy. That trophy should be kept for players and previous winners and all that kind of thing. It's the most iconic trophy in the world when you think about it, and it was just a little bit disrespectful. I think he just crossed line too much. I don't even know what he was doing on the pitch. What the hell was he even doing on the pitch? So it was just kind of weird, and it was just a weird situation. But there's been a big, huge backlash to it over the last few days. A lot of people questioning what the hell was going on with it and stuff like that and all. Absolutely crazy. So, of course, let us know your thoughts in the chat and in the comments what you thought of it. It was just crazy. And then you see these videos and he's cutting steak and Gianni is doing the salt and all that kind of thing. It's just crazy stuff going on. It's a crazy world we live in at the moment, isn't it? When you think about it. Let's have a look then. Let's Ted's in the comments. I knew Ted you'd have a comment. Complete joke. I think the guy is literally famous for being a meme. Yeah, he's become famous for cutting steak and sprinkling salt on it. And I don't know. He seems to, if you look at the video file that he has there, he seems to have been serving steak to everyone. I don't think he even cooks the steak. I think he just cuts it. But yeah, it just seemed so weird. The Messi one was the weirdest one because geez, Messi was like an antichrist with him. I thought, I'm sure they were saying, what the hell is this guy doing on the pitch? You know what I mean? It was just the weirdest thing ever. And then he just became a serial pest to every player. Like you're on the pitch there, you're trying to celebrate with your teammates, your fans, your family, your kids, all that kind of stuff. Next thing up pops this guy who's become famous for cutting steak and sprinkling salt on it, and you're just thinking, I don't know. What has the world come to? It's just crazy. Should it shock us really when we talk about FIFA anyways? Probably shouldn't, you know. Let's have a bit of crack and let's talk about movies. It is Christmas time. Hope you're all having a nice festive time and you're more or less almost finished work. Gonna settle back, have a few drinks, plenty of food, enjoy a bit of TV and a bit of sport and a bit of football. Have a safe one, of course. Um, Ted, he's not even Argentinian, yeah, absolutely. And any chance he had, Ted, has no chance now, I'd say. Yeah, I'd say he's probably apart from the way they're talking about Mbappe at the moment and stuff like that, and the disrespect for Mbappe from the Argentinian players. I don't know if you've seen Emi Martinez, it's different level. Unbelievable. Different level. Yeah, no chance. Crazy stuff. Um, but let's talk about Christmas movies. So I picked out a selection of Christmas movies. These are the ones. These are kind of my go-to ones. And if you're kind of my age or in around my age, you'll remember back in the day when it came to Christmas time, the family would always get the RTE guide, big magazine here on these shores, and you'd go down through it, have all the TV guide for the whole of the Christmas period. So from the day you got your holidays in school right through till the day you were going back, and every day it would have the listings for the TV and when the films and stuff were on. So you get your pen out or whatever it is, and you'd be marking the movies you were going to watch and the times they were on and stuff. Because we didn't have the privilege of Netflix or streaming or DVR or any of that kind of stuff. So you weren't recording that stuff. We always used to have a few video cassettes around where we'd record some of the movies so we could watch them again. Shh, don't tell anyone. But everyone remembers that bit of sellotape across the top of that VHS. Um, the arguments of that guide when two people have something on at the same time. Absolutely, Ted. Absolutely. And Ted, you know where I'm coming from on this as well. Not a lot of households as well back then even had two tellies. You know what I mean? It was different gravy back then. This is a very different world. I talk to my kids about this even when we're on these Christmas holidays, and they think this is foreign to them really when I talk to them about stuff like, yeah, we kind of only had one telly and you had to row in, or some houses, the posh houses back then would have two tellies, of course. But yeah, absolutely the arguments and stuff like that. And I'm sure you remember getting the VHS tapes ready and you'd label them up and write the movie on it and stuff like that. And the little message you'd put on it, do not record over this and all this kind of thing. And 5 movie later to be something different on it, and the whole label would be filled in and stuff like that. Yeah, but it was always a big event, and it was always very, very exciting. So let us know in the chat, what are the movies? What were the go-to movies for you back then during that Christmas break? Doesn't necessarily have to be a Christmas movie, as you'll see from the list I'm going to bring up. Doesn't even have to be a movie, even. You know what I mean? I know, we used to always watch as well those wildlife programs and stuff, and there was always like, the earlier versions of, the variations of Frozen Planet back then and stuff like that, where they talk about the Arctic stuff and stuff like that. You'd always look at that stuff. Ted in the comments, you'd want to watch Die Hard, but Coronation Street happened to be on, and the mother was having none of it. Yeah, absolutely. It was just crazy. Or you get the comment, Ted. Remember, sure, haven't you watched that before? Didn't you watch it last year? And stuff like that. But Coronation Street would be live, of course, and Coronation Street would always have that Christmas special as well, similar to EastEnders and whatever other ones were on Brookside and stuff like that. And they just seem to go on forever, and you'd be watching the clock going, might get the last hour of that movie or last 3/4 of an hour or whatever it was, and it just never happened because the soaps always just continued on and on and on. But these are the ones I picked out, just to get a little bit of festive. Of course, Home Alone, of course, will be on everyone's list, I would imagine, along with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I was saying the other night on the Monday show that we did, whatever it was, that I nearly reenacted this with Ben when we went and got our tree this year. We bought this year seems to be in more of these sort of fatter, chunkier trees. So when the guy puts it in the mesh for you to bring it home in the car, when you cut the mesh, the thing just exploded. Now, not to the likes of the saying of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but yeah, very, very close to it. It came across the telly, filled the whole window, and I was in at the back of it and I couldn't move and stuff like that, but just a laugh. And Self and Ben just looked at each other. We both thought the same thing, Christmas Vacation, and we both laughed about it. Hilarious. Die Hard, of course, Ted mentioned there, is on the list. Some people would say it's not a Christmas movie. Even Bruce Willis himself has come out and said it's not necessarily a Christmas movie. So, but it seems Christmas movies seem to be movies that tend to be on around the holiday period. They don't necessarily have to be Christmas movies. And any movie that has a bit of weather in it or a bit of snow in it tends to be categorized as a Christmas movie. One for me that's always a big one is Gremlins. I loved Gremlins. And it's the weather and the snow and the premise of it and stuff like that was really, really cool. Of course, the Grinch and Elf go in there on that list as well. But one that I put in there that I always watched, the Supermans were always in the Superman 1 and 2. They were always on around Christmas time as well, and you'd always watch them. Christopher Reeves, he was just unbelievable, different gravy as Superman and stuff like that. But I always watched those two movies. They were absolutely brilliant, and Lex Luthor and all that kind of thing. It was really, really cool. So I always watched the Supermans. Star Wars, tended to watch most of the Star Wars when they were on. Back then when I was watching it, there was only the three, of course. But I always looked forward at Christmas time to The Empire Strikes Back, because of course it kind of starts out somewhat with that kind of snow scene and stuff. That was really cool. And back then we always got kind of Star Wars stuff for Christmas as well, so it wouldn't be unusual. You get something like the AT-AT and stuff like that, which is really cool. Or you might get the beast that attacks Luke Skywalker, so the Wampa, I think it's called, and stuff like that. Really, really cool stuff. Or one of those ships that had the cable that shoots out of it and sticks and stuff like that. Cool stuff, cool memories and stuff like that. So Star Wars would be always on the list. Indiana Jones would always be on the list. Big fan of the Indiana Jones movies, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark, but the Temple of Doom was always a classic as well, so always on at Christmas time. And then it gets a little bit weird in terms of like you've other movies out there that are, you wouldn't necessarily call them Christmas movies, but because of the weather and because of the setting or whatever it is, they kind of felt like it. And one of them is that Alive one. That's the one, if you remember, most people might remember this. It was the plane crash where the survivors literally ate each other, kind of thing, and stuff like that. But they kind of crashed into a mountain and they were up on the snow and the ice and stuff like that and trying to survive. And I think, as far as I know, it was based on a true story. Ted would know from his film podcast. Actually, check out Retrotainment, his channel, where he does movies and stuff like that all the time, and they recast them and stuff like that. And all really cool. Himself and Greg and Carl Sherlock and stuff like that do them, and they're really, really cool. So check it out. Day After Tomorrow, which is one of my favorite movies and stuff like that. Again, another really cool movie about climate change and stuff like that. I'm sure you've watched it and stuff like that, but some of the scenes in it are unbelievable when you see New York City freezing over and stuff like that, and the way the government's dismissed any of this climate change. They didn't buy into it, and the accord and all that kind of stuff, and then it suddenly happens. You're going, wow. But it was a really, really good movie. Really, really enjoyed it. And Cliffhanger is always a good one for me. Big Stallone fan, so I always liked watching Cliffhanger. Cracking movie with some great scenery and some cinematic stuff. Is really, really good. Really, really enjoyed it. And your man, the bad guy in it, the heel, is so cool. Especially I love that line in a Ted and now at that line where they talk about what's in the briefcase. If you haven't seen it, it's about 3 briefcases that go missing. There's millions of dollars in them and stuff like that. But your man's a guide. I won't give it away too much. I'm sure you've all watched it anyway. But that line where he says, what's he say? So what's in the cases? And your man goes, oh, just the usual stuff, socks, jocks, no $100 million or something like that. And it's just a cracking line and stuff like that, and it really good. And then of course I rounded out with Frozen Planet. We probably watch Animal Planet and Frozen Planet all the time. But Frozen Planet is always a go-to for me over the Christmas holidays. I love going back looking at a Frozen Planet 1 and 2. Really, really good with David Attenborough and some of those harsh places that he goes to shoot footage and stuff like that. That's my list. Of course, let me know your list in the comments as well. I'd love to hear what you're going to watch, or if you have any recommendations, if it's not on my list there, if you think it's something I should be watching, we'll get to it over the Christmas holidays and stuff like that. Again, have a great Christmas holidays. Have a safe one. Hope Santa brings you everything that you want. Hope the family is safe and everyone's having a good time. Ted in the comments, it's interesting the difference even a few years makes to what finds it onto people's lists of non-Christmas films, but then the similarities as well. Uh, Ted's going to come in here with for Christmas films. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Interesting. It'd be interesting to see Ted's list now, because Ted would be a kind of a movie connoisseur, as they say, you know. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And also, Ted, if you're coming on, give me your give me your not so Christmas films that you would watch around the Christmas time and stuff like. I suppose it could be anything, you know. It's like that sort of phase we go through. Back in October, I was saying, like, you know, because it's Halloween month and stuff like that, we tend to watch the horror movies and stuff like that. So we tend to pick it. Same when you're going through the summer, you tend to watch those kind of summery movies that come out. So Ted's ones are here. You got Bad Santa, Die Hard, Home Alone, The Grinch, Muppets Christmas Carol, of course. Yeah, is an absolute classic. Absolute classic. Can't get enough of the Muppets. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I'll get you a link now, Ted. Hang on. I'll get you a link now and you can come on and we'll have a chat about them. Just a bit of crack. And anyone else who wants to pop on as well, you're more than welcome. It is the season to be jolly. There's the link for anyone who wants to come on and talk Christmas movies. It'd be interesting to go through the non-Christmas ones with Ted. I'll let you know when he's popped up and we'll bring him on. That link is there if you know. There he is in the background, in the green room, as they say. How are we doing, sir? How are you?
How's things, Niall?
Yeah, not too bad at all. How are you keeping?
Oh, not too bad. Fucking working away, hoping tomorrow's a nice fucking quick day in the old work.
That's your last day tomorrow, is it?
Yeah, well, it's Saturday and Sunday the next day, so other than that, I'd be working up till Christmas Eve, but thankfully.
Oh, okay. And what? How long are you off for?
Back in possibly on the 27th, definitely on the 28th.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you've a reasonable few days anyway to gorge on stuff.
Yeah, so only because 2 of them are the weekend, and then one of them is the bank holiday. Like other than that, I'd be straight back in. Unfortunately,
yeah. This idea came. We were talking on the show on Monday, and people started talking about their movies and stuff like that, and it became a sidetrack. So we said, look, hold it for Thursday show, and we'll have a chat about Christmas movies, or what are the movies you go and watch during the Christmas period. They're not necessarily Christmas movies. But yeah, give us your thoughts, of course, and first of all, tell people about the channel. I've already said it.
Yeah, Retrotainment. That's it. We really just do Retrotainment recast now mainly. It's myself, Greg, Carl Sherlock, who was introduced to me by yourself actually. One of the times to come on, and he did Ferris Bueller with me, and we just kind of kicked on from there. And then Carl King has joined us as well, and we just awesome. So we just recast films in a kind of competition style format. You know, we have a Christmas special coming up that'll be released on Christmas, but it's obviously pre-recorded, where we have Carl Sherlock's dad and one of the lads that Greg works with, Tom, that watches every week, going up against each other doing Lethal Weapon.
Okay, awesome.
So that's awesome. One that again, not really a Christmas film, I don't think. Yeah. I think Die Hard is. I don't think Lethal Weapon particularly is, but it's a good film, and it is set around Christmas, so the lads wanted to do that. So
I've just actually been going through them with Ben. We've gone through the Lethal Weapons, and we've just done the Beverly Hills Cops, which is really cool.
Another brilliant one. Yeah,
he loves your man Judge. He loves Judge. Yeah, he's brilliant.
I know they're quality there.
And we're going through some Tom Cruise ones at the moment. So obviously we did Top Gun and stuff like that. And we just did A Few Good Men. Cracking.
Did you watch the new Top Gun?
Yeah.
Oh, lads, what a film!
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be doing a thing on. So myself, Carl, Sherlock, and Greg have kept a list of all the films we watched this year, and all the ones that came out in 2022, and we kind of like ranked them between ourselves. Yeah. So we'll be doing a show on that. But I think, like, not to give too much away, but I think we all already have Top Gun as the top for 2022. I don't think any of us have said that something's better than that. I think we all have that up there. Now I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that'll be the top boy.
Now, before I go and waste my time, have you heard anything about this new Avatar? Is it decent or?
I've heard it's good, but that's from critics. Okay. Right, and the critics said the first one was really good, and I went to see the first one, and I was like, well, I watched Pocahontas when I was a child. and this is just Pocahontas with blue people. So I wasn't too pushed. And then the lead actress in it came out there not too long ago, and she was like, I filmed this like a couple of years ago. I thought this came out and bombed, like, and that's why nobody asked me about it. She said because they filmed two of them together. So he has the third one already filmed, but I don't think it'll be great. But I'll wait to reserve judgment for it. But I won't be going to the cinema myself to bother.
I think they pushed it out because of the pandemic, wasn't it? They didn't want to release it during the pandemic or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what Cameron wanted. But
yeah,
I don't know. I wasn't sold enough on the first one. So I'm gonna wait and see what the audience reaction is to this one before I decide if I'm gonna bother watching it at all.
Cool.
It'll be on Disney Plus, so I'll probably just watch it on that. I won't even bother going to the cinema first.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us this. Come on, give us then some more. Give us an insight into the Ted's Christmas holiday selection. Let's say.
Yeah, so the non kind of Christmassy ones are kind of the ones that, as you said, you had your the big movie at 6 o'clock. And you got in, you watched that. So one of the ones that always popped up, and it was kind of on a rotation of 3 years, was the Mighty Ducks films. So you'd have Mighty Ducks 1 on 1 year, and then the next year be 2, and then the next year be 3. So they're always big ones for me at Christmas. I've already watched them now this year. Handy to get because they're on Disney Plus and stuff. So just jump on and watch them. So they're one for me. I always go through Space Jam again. Now I'll have watched Space Jam already a couple of times in the year because it's genuinely my favorite film. I think it's the greatest film of all time. Genuinely, like, not even messing. But that's like my go-to. If I can't think of something to watch, I'll put on Space Jam. But I always watch it at Christmas as well. Star Wars is one as well. Same as you. There's, it's one of the originals. It's either Empire Strikes Back or one of the other two. And then usually it actually ends up being all three. Usually I watch one and then I lash them on. And then the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the extended edition, because that's the only time I have time to sit down and legitimately give 9 or 10 hours to watch something. That's the only time I have for it.
Absolutely. Nice. Yeah.
But,
the Lighthouse Cinema do that, don't they? They do a Lord of the Rings day. And people
I love it.
Watch it all back to back. My God, that's dedication. Absolutely dedication.
I think if you ask anybody a couple of years younger than us now, Harry Potter will be on their list. Because that's one that's on every Christmas now. And it's grand, it's something to stick on, but I think that'll be a big one for a couple of years younger than us. And that's what I was saying, like yours were Superman and stuff would have been on the telly. Superman had kind of stopped by the time I was going, like I was getting to pick what I wanted to watch on the telly and stuff, and it was different films. But it's interesting how even that couple of years just makes such a difference, because most people would say Harry Potter now if they were kind of in their 20s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm blown away by how much it's the buy into it. I was over in Florida this year, and that new Harry Potter section in Universal or whatever it is, and it's absolutely massive. The queues were monstrous, and it was back to back with people just trying to get into it, even to walk around the whole area. It was amazing, and it's just such a franchise. It's absolutely huge, isn't it? It's massive.
Yeah, I'd be a huge Harry Potter fan now myself, but that's because I grew up reading the books. And they're the one, anybody that's never been into reading or anything, no matter what age they're after, like I want to get into reading. That's my go-to recommendation, because it's easy to read, but it's well written. So like some books are really well written, but they're actually tough to read. Like you'd read 2 chapters, you'd be like, right, I need to put that down. That's actually fucking hurt my head. Whereas those, you just fly through them, no bother.
The question for you now: how do the movies stack up to the books?
They're okay. There's too much in them, because it's really from one person's perspective in Harry's. So there's a lot of inner monologue in the books that you just don't get in the films. And like that's just, I think as a TV, if they knocked out a little series on that, with 10 episodes per book or something, it'd be fucking brilliant. But I think it's still too fresh for them to actually do it.
Yeah, they're still earning too much money off it still to change anything.
Give it another 10 years, and then they'll be like, right, we need a little fucking cash injection here. Let's make a little series.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one I tend to go to as well, that's normally on a Christmas, I think, as well. That Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, that's a good one.
That tends to be on.
Yeah.
That's normally a good one. I left it off the list there, but it should have been on it as well. Yeah, that was one that I would always.
Pink Panther was another one.
Yeah, Pink Panther. Yeah,
My
absolutely.
dad used to love the old Pink Panther now.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that there? Pink. Put on Pink Panther. No, I
Yeah,
want to watch some. No, there's something else on. Nah, no, there's
yeah,
not. Pink Panther's
yeah.
on. That's what's going on here.
It's
All
mad
right.
back then, isn't it? There was a consistency to TV back then in a
Oh, you
way
knew
that
what
was
you were
kind of
getting.
like, yeah, like and it was very good when when you speak about the parents and stuff like that. The parents nearly knew what was going to be on and when it was going to be on. They didn't even need the RTE guide
Oh
because
yeah,
it was so at times so repetitive as well and stuff like that as well.
yeah. What was the?
Any others that stick out? Jaws is one. Is Jaws normally on
Jo-
around Christmas as well?
I don't know if it's on at Christmas. I think
Yeah,
it kind of used to be. I don't think it is anymore.
yeah,
But I'd still watch it
mm,
at Christmas. That's another
yeah,
one that I'd kind of pop in there and be like, right,
yeah. Classic.
let's give an old watch to that. I think
Yeah,
the mother loves Miracle on 34th Street. She'd watch
yeah.
that every Christmas. Now that's not one I was
Mm,
ever super
yeah,
into, but that'd be one of her go tos. Like
yeah.
so, I
Absolutely.
obviously watched it a couple of times when I was younger because, as you said, you only had the one telly, and what
Yeah.
else was I going to be doing with my life? You know?
Yeah, I remember back to the days when we didn't even have remotes. I remember
Yeah.
back to when you were changing the channels, you were told to get up off your backside and go and put on channel 5 or whatever it was. Hit the button for 5 there. Put
Get
5
up,
on.
get up
Yeah.
there and turn that up a bit, will you? Someone's going to take me seat. No, no one's going to take your seat. You turn around, the seat's gone. Well.
Yeah. And I don't know what it was, whether we were just kids and stuff like that. But the telly always seemed miles away when you were asked to do that. It always
Yeah.
seemed like this long spin to the telly to change the channel. Yeah,
Well, I think
absolutely.
there was always the thing that you were like back then. People did make the telly as far as away because you were always told, you know, if you watch that, if you sit too close, that your eyes will go square and all that
Oh
shite.
yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
all. No one even believes that. Like you didn't really
Yeah.
believe it when you were younger, but no one
Yeah.
believes that now because sure, you all have the phone right up in your fucking eyes the whole time. If
Yeah,
your eyes are gone
absolutely.
square, they're already gone. Like good luck to that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so sometimes you think, you'd even think years ago with those old big tubes on the telly and stuff like
Oh,
that, nearly
Jesus.
the radiation coming out of them and stuff like that, and all the stories they used to make
Jesus.
up.
One
It's
of the things
absolutely
you kind of
hilarious.
forget is the crackling. You know, like
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
listen to a film now, they're
yeah,
clean, they're crisp. But back then there was
yeah,
always this little crackle in the background of
yeah.
it,
Background
just the
noise, yeah.
telly.
Yeah,
Another one
because
actually is
of the tuner, especially when you nearly have half BBC One, half BBC Two, nearly
yeah.
tuning in on the one channel and stuff and all. Yeah, absolutely.
Another film I always had, and this one probably is a bit Christmassy, was Batman and Robin, which is like universally hated. Like everybody hates Batman and Robin as a film,
Yeah,
but I love it. It's got Arnie in it as Mr. Freeze cracking
yeah,
out the one-liners, which is,
yeah,
who doesn't want Arnie cracking out one-liners?
yeah,
Um, and the reason that's up there for me is we used to go to meet my granny's on my dad's side on Christmas Eve, and there was
mm,
only ever two videos in the house, and one of them was that.
okay,
And nobody else ever seemed all too concerned about what we were watching. So
yeah,
I kind of was just like, right, well, we're watching Batman then. All the
yeah,
kids in the room with the telly, all the adults in the room with the dining room with all the food and
mm,
stuff, where the kids would just go in and grab something and then they'd be back into the sitting room. 20 odd
yeah,
kids sitting there watching Batman versus Robin over
yeah.
and over again.
I think I was watching that the other day. Is Two Face in that as well with Tommy thing? Is he
No,
in that one?
it's the one with Uma Thurman and
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Bane.
The one I was watching the other day was Two Face with Tommy.
Yeah,
What's his name? Tommy. I should know. The actor Tommy.
yeah. I can't think of his name.
He was in U.S. Marshals and everything and all. And
Tommy Lee Jones, wasn't it? Was he
is
Two
that it?
Face at one point? I think Tommy Lee Jones was Two Face at one point, but yeah, no, those old Batman
And
films.
Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was the Riddler.
Joe, yeah, the Riddler. Yeah, he was very good
Yeah,
as the
Jim
Riddler.
Carrey
Yeah,
was the Riddler. He was brilliant. Yeah, Tom Acers is in Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, spot on.
yeah,
Yeah, what an actor. Brilliant as Two Face, and he was excellent in U.S. Marshals as well.
yeah.
Um,
And then he has Men in Black and all that as well. Like what
yeah,
an
yeah,
actor that man
absolutely.
was.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I did that ride this year in Universal. It's absolute pony. It's
The
terrible.
Men in Black one.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's so
Is it?
cheesy.
Is that the one where you're going around? You have to like shoot things as you're going
Yeah,
by.
yeah, you're lasering targets and stuff like that and all, and
Yeah,
you crock up a score and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
I did that one and I came out of it like and I'd absolutely fucking dominated with all like
yeah,
because I went over on my own, so I just jumped in with whatever randoms were there,
yeah,
And like there were some, kids with families with like kids and stuff, and the
Yeah.
Dan all were shit. I'd come out and I'd like obliterated everyone, and I was just like, they were like, "Oh, you did really well," and I was like, "Yes, I mean, fucking you're barely moving, and the thing's sitting over there. You just pop a shot at it. Yeah, that'll put that down, right? When's the next bit?"
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually read an article on it today saying it's the most breaking down ride they have in universe now, and they're thinking of camming it. Keeps on breaking down every couple of weeks or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's had its day. I think that probably is one that's going to find a way. Its way into the can now soon.
Yeah, big up, Dave. Good to see you there. Happy Christmas and all that. Enjoyed the watch along there earlier. I was watching it for a little bit and stuff like that on the podcast there. We have to have a chat, Dave, about that leaked third kit, that purple jersey. Nike are lazy so and so's. Quarterfinal draw is now on, apparently. Yeah, it's not going to interest me much. It'll probably interest Ted a lot more than it'll interest me. But
I'm just worried we're going to draw City, if I'm honest.
Wait till I see. Can I dig it out? I wonder how they actually doing it. Where they did it's probably on. Where did they normally do this? It'd be on Sky, wouldn't it? Probably be on the app, I'd imagine. Presume they're doing it on Sky. Yeah. Quarterfinal draw live. There we go.
Not really sure who I want to draw on this now, to be honest. Obviously not City, but
yeah. Well, you've got the 8 teams there. So 1 is Charlton, 2 is Leicester, 3 Man United, 4 Newcastle, 5 Nottingham Forest, 6 Southampton, 7 Wolves, and 8 Man City.
Probably looking at Charlton or Forest are the ones you really want, aren't they? Don't know that there's. You definitely don't want City. Newcastle could give you a bit of a tricky game as well. Southampton could be on a new manager bounce as well, couldn't they? So you wouldn't really know what you're going to get with them.
Yeah, they're saying it's time for the draw there, so I'm sure it'll update as we go along, and we'll see. We'll stay on and see who they get. Wonder if they have Salt Bay on doing the draw,
picking them out. I can't believe
that like it.
I think that you were saying that you seen the president of FIFA in at that. I think that's beforehand. I think he was in beforehand, and that's how that little fucker got himself onto the pitch.
Yeah,
I thought Martinez was going to kill him.
Oh, 100%. Don't know how he
did. When he tried to take it out of his hands and Martinez just kind of held onto it, I was like, I don't know if I'd be fucking trying to pull that out of his hands, mate. Just leave that one, will you?
Yeah, he had that iron grip on it, didn't he? The worst one though was when he grabbed. Did you see Shay Given doing the draw? This lad Acers, he's mad on to Darren at the moment and stuff like that with the comments and stuff like that.
Is he? Yeah, I do see him in there winding Darren up. All right.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shay Given doing the draw. Let us know if that comes true. We're waiting here.
Well, there's a safe pair of hands anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Interesting. Charlie, you probably want an all Manchester final or something, would you?
I'd be hoping so. I'm kind of hoping somebody knocks them out, to be honest, so that we don't have to play them. But at this point, like when you're down to this quarterfinals, it's anything goes, really, isn't it? Like one slip up can cost you, or one bad refereeing decision can cost you, as United found out last year.
Yeah, I'm not being better tonight either, but I thought the referee tonight was terrible.
Yeah, I think that, I was surprised that it didn't even go to VAR about the penalty shout for, was it on Gomez?
There's no VAR in it, sure there isn't. There's no VAR, I think, until the quarterfinal stage or something like that.
I think there is if it's in a stadium with VAR, isn't there?
No, as far as now, they said last night, they were commentating last night and said that there was no VAR until the quarterfinal stage.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they were saying apparently last night. So I presume that's
right.
That's what it was. That's why it didn't. Yeah.
I was a bit surprised at that one because he definitely, Ake does kind of just run into him. Now it was close quarters, but I don't know. I think that might have been a bit of a.
Well, you'll be happy with the first one because United just got Charlton.
Well, that's a good draw.
That's a good start for you as going through to the semis anyway.
You'd hope so, but again, you could just one slip up and that's the end of you.
Yeah,
And
I don't think so.
this is where you kind of would prefer to pull out City or something, because if you lose to City, there's no shame in losing to City. Do you know what I mean? You lose to Charlton and get knocked out there, you're fucking ridiculed for it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be worrying about that too much.
No, I wouldn't be.
Southampton got Man City at St Mary's.
You'd be thinking that's
That'll
relatively
be
safe for City.
Yeah, it'd be tasty enough, It depends when these toys come around and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, who
You'll
you
be in
need to
the height of
rest.
FA Cup, you'll be in the height of League, and I don't know what the timing of this Champions League wouldn't be back at that stage. I wouldn't imagine.
I don't think so,
Yeah,
no. But
yeah.
Pep would probably still be keeping an eye on it.
Pep loves the Carabao Cup. He look at the team he put out even tonight. There's no messing around with him. He wants to win every game. Nottingham Forest get Wolves.
That'll be a good game.
Yeah, that'll be a decent game. Forest and Wolves.
So what? That leaves Newcastle and
Leicester,
is it?
Newcastle and Leicester, yeah. Newcastle and Leicester.
Well, we get a preview of that this weekend.
Yeah.
I'd put my money on Newcastle there. Now I know Leicester are on a bit of a winning streak at the moment, but I think that Newcastle team are just riding high at the moment. Top four in the top four and everything. They're just loving life.
Yeah. Newcastle at home against Leicester.
Okay.
So interesting.
All new signings will have come in by then, will they, or are they allowed to?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah, I'd imagine so. Once you've registered the players from the January window, they'd be eligible. Depends on when they come in. I don't know. These draws might be the back end of January, Eddie. So you may
as long as they haven't played in the Carabao Cup, I think they're eligible to play, aren't they? So if you sign someone from a team and they've already played and been knocked out, I don't think they can play.
What's the likelihood of that happening?
No, I know, yeah, but I think, I think you could see a few new players in there. So depending on who teams sign, it could make a big difference.
Yeah.
Not to ourselves and City, I don't think, but Newcastle and Leicester and stuff like that would be very different games with signings.
Yeah, what's the crack, Eno? Good to see you there. Welcome on board. Have a good Christmas and all with the kids and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, what have you made? Thoughts on United so far with Ten Hag and stuff like that? Because we haven't had you on in a while.
Yeah, I've been relatively happy. I think I think Ten Hag's made the big decisions that really needed to be made. Like I said it in the video the other day when you and Darren were discussing who was going to play the centre backs, and I said I was a little bit worried about this game because we were going to have Maguire and Lindelof as our centre back pair, and I was like, whatever about Maguire, somehow managing to scrap his way into the World Cup team of the season. I don't know how he fucking pulled that one out, but he did. But whatever about that, I wasn't confident with him starting. But even with that, Ten Hag didn't start him, and it's not like England went too far, So it's another big shout from him to say, listen, you can call yourself club captain all you want, but you're not starting any of these games. And when Varane and Martinez get back, you're going to even further down that pecking order. Scott McTominay's ahead of you.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're putting Casemiro in defence. You're really sending a message, aren't you? Boy, you need to go find a new club in January.
Yeah, we'll put Scott in there ahead of you, and then when we take Scott off, we'll lash Casemiro back in there. You're not getting on at all, mate. Even Wan-Bissaka was getting a start and everything. You're kind of looking at Maguire
and in fairness, and did well.
He was good.
In fairness, because he hadn't played for a while, so he did well when he came in,
Yeah, I think Wan-Bissaka's got a bit of a hard time over the last while. I know he wasn't great, but I think some of that is possibly down to what he was dealing with in the centre. I always felt he was too worried about what was happening behind him. In the sense of what's Maguire going to do behind me here? I need to be worried about that rather than my player.
It probably has a lot to do as well with Dalot being a revelation when he's come back in and stuff like that as well. He's been exceptional.
Oh, Dalot has been very, very good, and he was very good for Portugal as well. And so was Bruno. I think a lot of the players came in, and then obviously handling Ronaldo's going to be a tough one, especially since he's in a slump, he's on decline, and he's not willing to accept that. That's the harsh truth of it. And I think Ten Hag's done a fairly decent job. I think he's actually been a little bit too soft with him on times where he's walked out on the You know.
To be honest, I don't think he ever wanted him, and I think he was kind of, because they couldn't find a deal in the summer, he was kind of forced upon him, really, and he.
Yeah, but I think he let him away with stuff. He was like, if any other player walked down that tunnel after being asked to sub on and said, "No, I'm not coming on because you left it too late. I'm not going on," they
Well,
wouldn't have
do you
got back
know?
on the bench. Do you know what I mean?
But do you know what he did? What he did was he kind of gave him enough rope, say, to hang himself, really, and
He
stuff like
did,
that.
yeah,
So what he didn't want to do is he didn't want to pull the trigger on Ronaldo, and then the fans come in hard on him for that decision. What he
yeah.
wanted to do was let Ronaldo disrespect the situation so much that the fans were quite happy to see the back of him, and then he knew that even if it was him who made the decision, even if it may not be the right decision or it turned out that way, it
It
was it
wasn't
was
on
an
him.
unattainable position, and it wasn't on him. So he's very, very
Yeah,
clever in the way he did it.
but I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
I think Ronaldo made the wrong team of the World Cup. He made the team of
Yeah,
the worst 11. I think
yeah,
I seen him, Lautaro Martinez made it, which is probably fair because he was meant to be the starter and then wasn't great. And Alvarez
mm,
was just like, right here, give us that spot there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, it was certainly an interesting World Cup. All right, yeah. Um, yeah. So that's it. Thanks for jumping on. A
No, yeah,
pleasure as always.
always good, always fun to jump on. Usually I just stay in the comments when you have Darren, but
Yeah,
he's off watching,
absolutely.
uh,
He's off. He
watching
he's
Westlife tonight.
he sold me down the river for Westlife tonight. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
wouldn't even
So
mind if he'd
that's
sold you
it.
down the river for, Backstreet Boys or,
Yeah, yeah.
Five or one of the good boy bands, you'd at least accept it. But bleeding Westlife, that's a
I'll remember these moments when I'm giving out the slammies at the end of the year. Don't worry
oh
about that.
Jesus.
I can be as hard hitting as Dave Meltzer when I want to be. Eno in the
We're,
comments. The wife got him a Christmas present today. A nice Adidas hoodie, nice one. Good choice. Good
he's getting
choice.
that a bit early, isn't he?
Maybe it's the Christmas Eve. Maybe it's the pre-present or something like that. Yeah, but
No,
good
I
lad,
doubt that
Eno.
is. What that is the wife going, listen, you're not wearing that tat to the fucking family dinner. Here's a new Adidas jumper for you to wear so you at least look fucking respectable. That's what that is. I,
Happy
I
days.
used to get that from the mother. Here's some nice new Christmas clothes. No, I'm all right with this. No, you're
Yeah.
not.
And
All
you'll
right.
find you'll put the new clothes on for a while, but you'll still find your way as the day progresses back into the old gear. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
I'll get that off me. I'll get the old stuff on. I'm a
Yeah,
bit more comfortable in this as I'm
yeah.
lounging around,
It's
rubbing
it's
crumbs off myself.
it's amazing how the years go by, but yet the theory of how things evolve on Christmas Day with families is very much the same and stuff like that. Yeah,
Oh
absolutely
yeah,
class.
someone asleep on the sofa, somebody else trying to change the channel while the old
Yeah,
lad on the sofa. Oh, I'm watching that. Yeah,
trying to
fuck. You've been
try
asleep for
trying
the
to
last 20
prize
minutes. You
trying
can.
to prize the remote out of his sleepy hand.
Yeah. Oh, I'm watching that. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You've been snoring away the last 20 minutes. No one else can hear it. You're not watching that. No, I am. All right,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, fair enough. Well, listen, pleasure for you jumping on. Appreciate it. Thanks a million.
Yeah, no,
Interesting to talk about
always good to
movies
jump
as
on.
always. Yeah, have a good Christmas. I'm sure I'll be talking to you over the Christmas with the football and stuff like
I'm
that. No,
sure we'll be all in the chat all over it on Stevens' day.
thanks to everyone in the chat. If you can on the way out, hit a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and head over to Ted's channel as well. Drop a subscription on that, and hit the bell notification and like his ones as well as we grow these channels. We will be back. I'll have a Shankly Sessions preview for you over the weekend for the Villa game for my sins. And no doubt we'll be back on
Jesus.
Stevens' night, probably with a show, chatting, drowning our sorrows on some of these results, the way things are going. Until next time, folks, a pleasure as always. Cheers. Cheers, Dad.
Good luck. Good luck.